I don't think it is unfair to say that the United States and the world is now passing through one of its most critical periods. Our major problem, above all, is the survival of our country, the protection of its vital interests, without beginning the third or last war. That is the decade we live in. That is the burden all of us must bear. It's rather ironical that the two strongest nations in the world, the United States and the Soviet Union, are the two nations which today live in the gravest danger.
Now, we condemned the Japanese for the immorality of their attack on Pearl Harbor. It seems to me if we do that to Cuba, we have nothing but a Pearl Harbor in reverse.
You don't understand the complexities of all this, of the Pearl Harbor precedent.
I don't, Mr. Atchison.
Are we to stand by and let this threat grow and grow? Have we not said time and again that we will never stand idly by while a foreign power intrudes on the American continent? Has not the President warned against this intrusion?
Yes.
He is authorized by Congress to remove this threat. There is no alternative.
To what?
The removal of the missiles.
Mr. Atchison, are you advocating the use of arms?
What is the alternative?
Can we bomb and kill several thousand Cubans?
As opposed to how many Americans to be slaughtered? Now, you have talked of immorality. Let us remember the law, what is right. Don't seek to preserve appearances. We are on the verge of war. It is a matter of survival.
Very well. In my absence, you advocated military assault?
I wish to emphasize strongly, in view of our now knowing if those missiles are triggered against us, it will mean the certain death of 80 million Americans in around 4 minutes.
I would like to state boldly, Mr. President, that in my experience, there is no other option than military attack.
And what do you think the Russians will do by way of response?
Nothing.
Say again, General LeMay.
Mr. President, it's my appraisal the Russians will do nothing.
You don't think they would retaliate in Berlin?
We're talking about Cuba.
We're talking about World War.
Mr. President, a blockade is the only answer.
Can we call it a quarantine?
We can call it whatever you like. An attack would precipitate a holocaust.
You only have to think of Pearl Harbor to know for sure that we can't start an attack in which thousands of people who are innocent will lose their lives. That sort of action is contrary to the American spirit.
What kind of attack is contrary to our spirit?
Massive surprise attack.
You're going to tell them we're coming?
We're not going to tell them anything.
No, sir. A single airstrike will not, definitely, destroy all the missile sites in Cuba.
I propose diplomacy.
You mean trading?
If that's what you wish to call it. Mr. President, I speak of diplomacy. I feel sure that the Russians will see that the removal of our missiles from Turkey, the evacuation of our Navy from Guantanamo Bay is a fair and just trade.
It is hardly fair or just. I cannot pull even one missile out of Turkey without severely weakening the position of NATO. I will not deal while this country stands on the brink of annihilation, and my decision is final. We will proceed with the blockade, and if that is considered an act of war, then so be it. Let's keep it direct and to the point. I will say that all the missiles must be dismantled.
And removed.
Yes. I want the speech coded and sent to the American Embassy in Moscow, along with my personal letter to Chairman Khrushchev. And they must be delivered 1 hour before I begin speaking on TV.
Okay.
I also want letters sent to de Gaulle, Macmillan, Nehru, Fonfani, Franco, both Brandt and Adenauer in Germany, and Diefenbaker in Canada. And we must warn the Organization of American States. We're going to need their support as well.
Pierre can't keep the Post-Times and Herald Tribune silent much longer.
It's all right. I already spoke to them. As of this moment, the Air Force interceptors are carrying nuclear warheads on board. There is no going back.
I support Senator Russell's advice. Invasion. Do what is demanded of you.
Excuse me, Senator Fulbright, you support the invasion?
I do, Mr. President.
Well, you must have had a dramatic change of heart, have you not? Did you not say that the Castro regime may be a thorn in our flesh, but it is not a dagger in the heart? And now you would support this dangerous step toward a final conflict? Very well.
I support blockade. I insist the records show that you, Mr. President, have at no time consulted with me. You have only informed me. Now, your blockade is not as powerful as invasion. We are threatened.
May I say that no one is more aware of just how threatened we are than myself, and that the blockade is only a first step. We are doing our best. Gentlemen, I asked you all to come here this afternoon so that I could personally brief you on the crises and seek your counsel. But from what I've heard, it would appear that this effort has been a waste of valuable time. Good day, gentlemen.
Okay, move it over to the right. Yeah, take it up, take it up, take it up. That's it. Can you get out of the way, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive military sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere. This sudden, clandestine decision to station strategic weapons for the first time outside of Soviet soil is a deliberately provocative and unjustified change in the status quo, which cannot be accepted by this country if our courage and our commitment are ever to be trusted again by either friend or foe. The 1930s taught us a clear lesson. Aggressive conduct, if allowed to go unchecked and unchallenged, ultimately leads to war. This nation is opposed to war. We are also true to our word. Our unswerving objective, therefore, must be to prevent the use of these missiles against this or any other country and to secure their withdrawal or elimination from the Western Hemisphere. Acting, therefore, in the defense of our own country and under the authority entrusted in me by the Constitution, I have directed that the following initial steps be taken immediately. First, to halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment now in a shipment to Cuba is being initiated. Second, I have directed the continued and increased close surveillance of Cuba and its military buildup. Third, it shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union. Fourth, I have reinforced our base at Guantanamo, evacuated today the dependents of our personnel there, and ordered additional military on a standby alert basis. Fifth, we are calling tonight for immediate meeting for the organ of consultation under the Organization of American States. Our other allies around the world have also been alerted. Sixth, under the Charter of the United Nations, we are asking tonight that an emergency meeting of the Security Council be convoked without delay to take action against this latest Soviet threat to world peace. Seventh and finally, I call upon Chairman Khrushchev to halt and eliminate this clandestine, reckless, and provocative threat to world peace and to stable relations between our two nations. I call upon him further to abandon this course of world domination and to join in a historic effort to end the perilous arms race and transform the history of man. My fellow citizens, let no one doubt that this is a difficult and dangerous effort on which we have set out, but the greatest danger would be to do nothing at all. One path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender or submission. Our goal is not the victory of might, but the vindication of right. Not peace at the expense of freedom, but both peace and freedom, here in this hemisphere, and we hope around the world. God willing, that goal will be achieved. Thank you, and good night. Russian ships were approaching the quarantine zone, but we're still alive. There is still no Soviet activity in Cuba. Yet. What if U-2 is shot down? Then what?
After verification, we would be justified in sending bomber and fighter planes to take out one of their surface-to-air missile sites.
McNamara has determined that such a retaliation could commence within 2 hours of notification.
Very well. As you know, the OAS is supporting us unanimously so that we may legally intercept any vessel in the quarantine zone. I've instructed the Navy to avoid any loss of life or the sinking of any ship, and to be quite sure that any ship they stop is carrying military equipment. I don't want to stop anyone carrying baby food. All of this, and Dobrynin still says there are no missiles in Cuba. Is he a liar? Is he being misinformed? What the hell's going on over there? Have you seen this?
What?
From Bertram Russell. Your action desperate. Stop. No conceivable justification. Stop. We will not have mass murder. Stop. End this madness. Stop. Do you see my reply?
No.
Yes.
I think your attention might well be directed to the burglars rather than those who have caught the burglars.
All right. They may be altering course to link up with the Soviet submarines. All right. Just make damn sure there is no interference with any ship unless I issue further instructions. I say again, no interference. Thank you. They've stopped. They've stopped dead in the water.